All right, guys, welcome back. We're on the second day. This is where we begin. This is the good stuff. So in this episode, we're going to buy your domain. We're going to set up Google Workspace so your Gmail account works with it. And then we're going to set up the VPS machine and get it secure, firewall set up, essentially the structure so that you can go in, SSH key, all the goods, protecting your ports. We want it all structurally sound so that then we can move into Docker NAN and move forward. So essentially today, Cloudflare, buy the domain, set up Google Workspace, and then get your VPS machine up and running. Now, one thing I want you guys to remember is to look at how I am building and using ChatGPT. So I know structurally how to set up this stuff, but a lot of times you're going to forget stuff, or you're going to forget like a command or something that you need. And you need to look at, because throughout this, I have to blur some stuff for sensitive IPs and stuff that may pop up. But I want you to look at ChatGPT when I'm working at what I'm asking, what it's giving me, what I'm putting into the terminal. And then if you have errors, I copy that, I feed it back to ChatGPT, and then it gives me answers, and I keep going. And then I constantly verify, am I protected, to make sure that I am good once we get to the point to move on. So be aware of that, like constantly going back and forth and making sure you're set up properly. Now, again, this is going to be very raw, and I'm going to be doing this on the fly because I want it to feel like you're doing this and you're figuring it out as you go. And I'm going to show you while I'm doing this my methodology, how I use ChatGPT to help me with problems. Because again, you're building all of this, and you're doing everything. You're an entire engineering team, so it's a lot. And I've done this a few times, but I forget stuff. So just like anyone else, because it's just a lot of information. But again, follow this journey. We're going to go from buying a domain all the way to creating your first agent. So let's get going. All right. So we're going to use Cloudflare. Now, again, all these principles work. If you have different hosting service, database, all that, like it all works. You can just take how I'm doing it and just swap for whatever you use. But I'm going to be using Cloudflare. So let's do build with Pixel. Let's see if that's available. Ooh, $10. I like that. Okay, so we've we bought our domain. Now, if I didn't go into details a lot, there's some stuff I'm going to go into a lot of details. Like I said, I want this to be raw, but there's some things that are quite simple in my mind, is like go to Cloudflare, search for domain, buying domain, like all that kind of stuff. Like you should know how to navigate a website. But essentially, buy your domain. You can use your existing domain, totally fine. Next, you want to set up ChatGPT. So, this again is like if you like Claude better or a different LLM, feel free to set it up. But essentially, you want to set up a new project in ChatGPT, and we'll call this build with Pixel. Create that project. Now, I've noticed that you have a better memory and context with ChatGPT when you set up a project. So then to get through it all. That's good. So essentially, I'm just setting the base. Now, you can go more extravagant with this sort of master prompt, but yeah, so essentially we got that. So what's next? Now, the way I want to do it is essentially I have this domain. Now I want to set up my Gmail. my account, because I'm going to use that to set up all the other parts of the stack, Supabase, Hostinger, all that stuff. Okay, I purchased the domain. How do I set up my Gmail account for that domain? Concise answers, please. Okay, so again, now you may know how to do this, but I want you guys to get in the rhythm of, if you don't know something, you go to ChatGPT. You see how it wants you to do it. You can validate with other LLMs and yourself, and then you go through the process. So we have to go to Google Workspace, and then yes, add records that's tying our domain and Gmail to Cloudflare. So within Cloudflare, if I go to, you're going to have DNS records, and I'm probably going to uh, blur this out. So, but this is where we tie stuff together with your domain, and we'll be able to create subdomains later, all that good stuff, and tying like how we work with NAN. It all goes through DNS records. And if you want more explanation on what a record is, like just ask ChatGPT. I'm decent at definitions and stuff when it comes to like the tech. I'm not that type of creator engineer. I'm more of a doer and learner and builder, and then I figure out, if I run into problems, I figure it out. I can't give you all the exact definitions of certain things. Okay, so to use Gmail with your domain, you need Google Workspace. Go to sign up with your business email, enter your domain, verify domain ownership. Okay, so we got to verify everything. Okay, Google Workspace, get started, business name, build with Pixel, just me. So Julian Fitzpatrick, and I'll tie it to pixelworld.com. Oh, there we go. We'll create a new one. Set up an existing domain because we have the domain. Domain name is build with pixel.com. Yes. Create username. We'll do, let's do hello. Yeah, hello at Pixel, and then we'll do our password. Okay. Don't want to save that. I never save passwords. And for this, compare plans, start a trial for just starter, do all this stuff. Okay, so now we got to verify the domain. So we're going to get started, and what you're going to do is you're going to have to go to your DNS records in Cloudflare. I'm going to do manual. Pick your domain host. Now, if you're using a different host, pick that host. Continue. Now, I'm going to blur this out, but essentially what you want to do is in your record, you add a record, you follow what it says here, and the name will be the at symbol, and then you need a txt record with the at auto, and then the content, you got to copy the content from the Google Workspace to your DNS record. So content, and then we'll hit save. So once you do that, come back here, you click that check mark and you hit confirm. And what it's going to do is going to check that you put that into your DNS record so it can tie them both together. Okay, so I'm verified. Now we need to activate Gmail. So continue. Activated for everyone with build and hello. Yes, proceed with activation. So Gmail to send and receive emails. Let's do manual. We'll do now. This is the same sort of thing. We're going to add another record. Continue. Now it's an MX record. So we'll go to add record, MX, name at mail server, copy the mail server, auto, priority 1, and then hit save. So now you got 2 records in there. And then down here, we'll say confirm. And then what it's going to do is it's going to check that you did that correctly. Okay, Gmail's activated. Okay, we don't need to do. Okay, let's do authenticate emails, Cloudflare. Oh, I think we got to do a third one. We'll do, generate key DKIM. So it's the same thing. We're going to go back over here, add record. We're going to do DK or TXT record. Okay, so TXT name, copy that. Content, copy that. And then set to lowest possible, which auto I believe is fine. Save. And then same thing. Come back here, check it. All right, Gmail's activated. Now we should be good. So get started. All right, now we're going to sign in with our new Gmail. So go ahead and sign in with your new one. Yes, I understand. Yeah. No thanks. Let's make it blue. All right. So now we have our domain set up. We have our Gmail account, which we're going to go through and get all of our other bits set up. So let's do Hostinger. So Hostinger is what I use for a VPS machine. So essentially, we're going to have a staging platform or a staging VPS machine and a production one. And how you got to think about this is when you're working with OpenClaw, you don't want it hooked to your main production. You don't want anything touching main because you want that only when you want something to be visible online, when you want to go to production. You want OpenClaw tied to staging. And staging is essentially where you work out your ideas. So when we start building everything, we want everything tied to staging. And once we're happy with that, then we push our staging from GitHub to main. That activates Cloudflare, which builds to your production. And then it'll be tied with secrets and variables tied to your VPS main machine. But right now we will just set up the VPS machine for staging. We'll get staging all set up nicely, and then we'll set up main the same way. And you'll want them set up the same way. You don't want OpenClaw to be on the main. Okay, so my account, we use Google. Let's get some water. Sign in. What we want is a VPS machine. And I want to set up a VPS. Now, of course, set it to wherever you like. Let's just see the choices. United States, yeah. Okay, let's do I can never say this, Ubuntu. And then I usually do 24.04 light. Yes. So we'll select. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell ChatGPT, hey, we got through Workspace. I'm setting up my VPS machine. This is going to be the version. So then it knows, it has context to the type machine we have. Okay, we got through all of Workspace. Now we are setting up our VPS machine. It is a 4.04 LTS. Okay, so we'll do root password. So root password's basically your password for the entire machine terminal. Then you can have a SSH key, which essentially it is a key to just get you into the terminal quicker, so you don't always have to put in your password. We'll do that after. We'll do a password for right now, and of course do a strong password. And you can change this. I'll show you how to change this after. Thanks. Okay, next. Now, to start off, I initially on my other one started off with KVM 1. I've upgraded to KVM 2. I'm going to do it on the KVM 2, but you can do it on whatever you want. Okay, so we got the machine. It's setting it up right now. So we'll let it set up. And then I'm going to tell ChatGPT, this is for your knowledge and for when we start to build within it. Okay, and then while this is building, so what we're doing is with ChatGPT, I'm giving it context to what we're building. And then once we get it into the terminal, we're going to start setting it up with like what it needs to run NAN, OpenClaw, all that good stuff. And I have my way of setting it up, but I'm going to try it a little bit differently this time, because I've learned stuff from building as well. Like let's say I set up OpenClaw, I did it a certain way for Pixel World. I figured out new ways of doing it or ways of optimizing it. I want to build it this time what I think may be easier or better for going between staging environment and main. But it's always something you will be rebuilding. You can always rebuild and make something better. All right, so now the VPS machine is all set up. Let's see. Okay, so when you go into Hostinger, you go home, and then you can go to VPS, and you'll see your VPS. You just go to manage, and you'll see your root access. So we're going to go in there, and then I use PowerShell. Now, if you don't have PowerShell, I'm honestly, I don't know for sure if it's installed with Windows or whatever you're on. And you can use other types of terminals and stuff, but this is what I use. Just go in and install it. You can use it. So I type SSH and I go in. Now, what it's going to ask is, and this is looking for, I believe, SSH key, and it doesn't know the host that I'm trying to access it from my computer. So I want to say yes. And then it's going to ask you for your root password. Now, this is how you get in. So as you can see here, we have essentially we're into our machine. Okay, so essentially what I want to do is I want to get all the like updates, all that kind of stuff, and things that would be useful for navigating the terminal and all that. Now, I'm not the best with terminals. I've always been on Windows and all that. But you just got to get used to this. It's not that complex once you get into it. Okay. And you just have to get used to it. So like going into folders, like ls is to list directories. Of course, right now there are no directories. CD is to go into a directory. And while I'm doing this, when we start building, I'll be showcasing this. Or not. Okay, so let's see what it comes back with. Okay, VPS prep. Okay, so this is the core system update. Packages add official software repositories, curl, wget, okay. Okay, git and file tools. Clone, yep, we need that for Git. Security basics. And you can go over this all in depth. And if you want more, you can go more. The way I like to look at it is, especially if you're building like a web app or whatever it may be, is you want to be secure. You want to have security, but you don't need to go extremely far. And that's a mistake I made early on, is that when I was building Pixelworld at first, is I went super secure. But if you don't have an audience or, no one using it, that security is sort of, I don't want to say pointless, but extreme. Like, you want to be secure and you want the bare minimum of security. And then as you're growing and as users are using it and as your app gets more popular or starts getting used, then you need to start thinking about like really good level security. But at the beginning, you want to get your idea out there. You want to be fast and you want to have these, and we're going to implement security features with like routes and all that kind of stuff. But you don't want to go too extreme at the beginning, because you want to get people to use it and just validate that your web app is actually good or not. Go ahead and do this. And what you'll see is it will install all this stuff. And then, like I said, you're going to get errors. You're going to run into issues. Okay, and let's see. Okay, so then what I do is I got some errors. So then when you get errors, this is the beauty of, vibe coding and all that good stuff, is you grab those errors, you throw it in to ChatGPT, it assesses, it has the context from before, and then it can give you what it means. Okay, the main issue is not the packages are bad. Your app package is stale, mismatch. So Ubuntu, you're fine. This common Ubuntu app issue. Okay, so let's run this. And sometimes it's whenever you're running these commands, it'll give you them to where you can copy and paste. But if you copy and paste it wrong within the terminal, it doesn't actually propagate it all properly. So sometimes you have to go in and do it manually one by one. Okay, that one went through fine. And then like you may be asking, well, how do I know what all this is? And I don't know all the packages that are there, but what I'll do after this is I'm going to verify with ChatGPT, hey, these all completed. Can you give me a breakdown of what this means? What do I have in this? Okay, so then we're going to see what ChatGPT has to say about that. Choose keep the local version currently installed. Okay. Okay, so just hit enter. All right. Now, this is also how you learn. Like, a lot of people are going to be saying like, oh, well, you don't know this or you don't know that, but you can't worry about that. How are you going to learn without doing it? And seeing what the errors are, seeing what's coming up. You can be taught this in school, but if you're not actually doing it, you're never going to learn anything. So you got to do it. You got to see what comes up, and then you got to move forward, and then you got to validate it, and then check and do checks. Okay, so restart zip load. The kernel will not be handled, so you should consider rebooting. Okay, so I got this. Let's just do this. I got this. What should I do now? And this is a lot of it. This is a lot of debugging, and it can be. You could think it's time consuming or tough, but it is. It's like you're going to run into problems, and and especially once you have a bunch of things tied together, you're going to have to remember a bunch of different things. But this is what you're going to gather from this course: is that you're gonna be learning a lot. And this is a means of how you problem solve. You have to use AI to problem solve. It's essential. Okay. New expected, you should reboot. Okay, so let's do a reboot. We'll let that reboot. Okay, and then we're going to run this. And that matches. So then run these. Okay, and then we'll run this. Okay. Okay, now how can I verify everything is correct and I'm secure and we are ready to get Docker NAN going? Okay, so now, okay, so we just checked that. That was correct. Check system health. Let's check. Okay, perfect. Yeah, no errors. Check firewall. Let's check the firewall. Inactive. Okay, so we need to go through firewall. And one thing you can do is like sometimes ChatGPT will give you a list of stuff to do, but you get through one thing and you go through this whole thread and you're like, oh, it's going to forget what the other things are. You can branch off. So you can do this branch and chat. So sometimes when there's a long one, I'm like, oh, before I write this, I want to save all of what he just said. So I keep it there. I scroll all the way down. I still have all this context for how he replied, but I'm just fixing this first part. And then I can go back to that other branch. Okay. Let's check this. If it shows 22 run, does show 22. Okay, let's see if I can copy this whole thing and run it. Okay. So again, it's back and forth. You got to read the terminal. Now, you may not understand it all, and that is okay. If you want to learn the nitty gritty of it, like sudo is sort of like the admin override to doing commands. But if you need to know all these other commands, just ask ChatGPT. Okay, one at a time. So, okay, added rule. Updated. Rules updated. Yes. Okay. Okay, this is what I have. So now I'm just verifying that the firewall is set up. Default incoming deny allow. That means HC web, HCSI. Everything else is inbound is blocked. Now do these quick checks. Okay, so let's do these checks. Okay. So I want to copy up to there and show what those checks gave me to verify with ChatGPT. Now it looked like there was a couple of errors, so we'll see what those are. Firewall's good. Failed to ban and Nginx did not install, probably because the earlier apt install failed halfway. Also important, your SSH log shows accept the password for root. So right now root password login is enabled. We'll tighten that soon. Okay, perfect. So fix install missing packages. So let's do this. Run. Okay, and then all right, we'll keep going. Copy. And Nginx is our reverse proxy. Okay, and then we're going to create a non-root sudo user. Now you can name this however you want. Password, we'll give it a password. What password should I do? We'll do full name. We don't need to hit that. Room number, don't need it. Work phone. Yes. Let me write down that password. Okay, so that's just adding another user. Copy. And then see how I just did su-vox? I'm actually going into the username as Vox. And then sudo who am I is that password for. Okay. Yeah, and it's saying, so let's check all of this. First, let's check this. And is the Vox user for OpenClaw or for us? And again, if you ever, I'm going to reiterate this all the time, is if you have questions about something, because this is a lot, it's a lot of information. You're going to be going through, like when we get to Supabase, doing like SQL expressions and all that. You're going to wonder what all those are. Just ask. And then over time, the more and more you do, it'll become more and more ingrained in your head. Okay, what your checks mean. Failed to ban active. The allow warning is not a problem right now. Nginx active, ports good. No random public ports are open good. You don't want public ports open. About the Vox user. The Vox user is for us operations. Think of it as the safe non-root user we use to manage VPS, deploy code, run scripts, and later interact with Docker. It can also become the user OpenClaw Vox uses for deployments later, but right now the main reason is to stop doing everything as root. Okay, so that's a good thing to know. It's like to not do everything as root. This happened because we created Vox, but did not see the group yet. Vox is not in the, so exit. Okay, so we're exiting that user. Okay, let's see. We're Vox. Okay, and root. Sweet. Okay, so now I'm going to go back, and because we had all this other stuff to check, okay, we'll do this. We'll run this all-in-one verification command. Okay, and then I'm going to give okay, before done run these final checks. Okay, so everything looks good. Who am I? Groups. Vox roots. Permit root login. Okay, so password authentication. Okay, so this is going back, I think, because we're using root password and not SSH. Check pending root boot packages. No servers need to be restarted. Upgrade. Okay, so now we're going to create base folders. And it looks like this is for backups images. So we're going to do that. All right. Okay, first let's check all this. And then can you check this before we do Docker? Then do I have to do SSH key and all this that I am doing? How do I know I am secure port wise and firewall wise? So we'll show basically the stuff that we just ran through. All right, so I got cut off on the SSH key. So it is something that you want to do because especially like for what I've been doing, you're seeing my label, and that label can give users information about your IP and all that kind of stuff. So you want to have it locked down to where there's no password authentication. It's essentially saying, hey, this computer is allowed to come into this VPS machine. So essentially, you want to do this, but change to whatever you labeled your name, and then the number afterwards, the server. And then it's saying this key belongs to your name for the server. And then this command is essentially taking that file that it created from the keygen that's up here, and then it's putting it into your server IP within this folder. So then it's basically saying, okay, this IP can use the VPS. So do that because you want to be protected and secure. Now, I know that was a lot today. We got through buying the domain, setting up your Gmail account, setting up the VPS machine. Now, the VPS machine, the structure is there. Next steps will be setting up Docker, N8N, and then we can move into setting up Supabase, OpenClaw, and getting the front end going for your domain. So, yeah, look out for the next episode. Thanks for tuning in, and see you.